So total body strength today. What we need is we need just one set of dumbbells. If you want to, feel free to grab two. I have my lighter ones here today because we are going to be doing kind of a multi-step one movement here. So I'll go ahead real quick with the demo and then we'll get into it. So first thing we're going to do is an alternating overhead press. So we're going to have our dumbbells at our shoulders. We're going to do one arm up and then nice and slow on the way down. So we're going to press up and then come 1, 2, 3 on the way down. So that's gonna be our first movement. And then after that, we're gonna do lateral raises. So this one also for the shoulders. So this is where if we want to use a lighter weight, definitely recommend that. We're going to keep our hands outside of our legs, palms facing behind us, and we're driving the elbows up and back down. So we should feel that in the sides of our shoulders, also making sure that we're keeping our hands slightly out in front, not all the way out to the side. So that's our second movement. And then after that, what we're going to do, we're going to drop one dumbbell. And this is where we're going to do our multi-step movement. So we're going to do a single leg or kickstand, Romanian deadlift, whatever feels more comfortable. You're going to hold the dumbbell in the opposite hand of the foot that you are using. So if I'm using my right foot, and again, you can either do the kickstand where you have your toe on the ground to do your Romanian deadlift, or you can do your single leg, whatever, again, is more comfortable. But regardless, at the bottom, we're then going to take our dumbbell and we're going to do a row and then stand back up. So we're going to do all on one side. So it's going to look more like this with the kickstand. But regardless, we're driving our hand towards our butt, elbow coming up, and then driving through our heel to stand back up. So like I said, we'll do all on one side and then switching over. So this is what's going to look like from this angle, or again, doing a single leg. So wherever your balance is at today. And that's also where I recommend going a little bit lighter so we can work on our stability as well and coordination. So those are the next two. And then for our last two movements, we're going to do our core. So we're going to get on the ground on our back. First thing we're going to do is a 90-90 heel tap. So it kind of looks like a dead bug to start. And then we're going to gently bring one heel towards the ground, tap, exhale, pull the leg back up. So it's kind of like a dead bug, but a little bit different. So we're just going to alternate here, tapping one heel and pulling up the core. And then our final core movement, we're going to do single leg lowering. So we're going to have both our feet in the air. We're going to lower one leg at a time, exhale, come back up. So that exhale is really going to help us activate our core as we bring our leg back up. So that is going to be our full circuit for today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our warm-up. Let me take my jacket off. I don't know why the heater's like always on back here, but it's not in the rest of the gym. All right, so we're going to start off here with a little bit of a hip flexor to hamstring stretch, warming up our lower body first. So half kneeling on the ground, one knee on the ground, one foot on the ground. We're going to tuck our pelvis. We're going to squeeze our glute. We're going to gently push our hips forward until we feel that nice stretch through the front of the hip. We're going to do a nice big deep breath. And we're going to exhale, straighten our front leg, rock our hips back, bring our chest down towards our knee, getting that nice stretch through the back of the leg. We point our toes towards the ceiling. That's going to get us a nice stretch through our calf as well. And we're going to go ahead and exhale and return back to our hip flexor stretch. So again, same thing, tuck the pelvis, squeeze the glute, and put your hips forward. Nice big deep breath. And we're exhaling, straighten the front leg, rock our hips back, bringing our chest down towards our knee. And then we're going to do one more exhale here, or one more deep breath. And then as we exhale, we'll come out of that and then switch sides. So bringing our opposite knee to the ground and opposite foot. And then we have our same checklist. So butt to belly button, squeeze our glute, and then push our hips forward. That glute squeeze is key to help us release the hip flexor here. Nice big deep breath into the belly. And then we're going to exhale, straighten our front leg, rock our hips back, toes to the ceiling, chest towards our knee. Get that nice stretch. We should feel that again all the way through our calf up into our hamstring. So that entire back of the leg. We're going to do a nice big deep breath. And we're exhaling, coming back into our hip flexor stretch. So it's gonna be our last one. And then we'll do a little bit of an upper body warm up and then we'll be good to go. Breathing into our belly, feeling our hips expand as we breathe in. And then we're gonna exhale, rock back into our hamstring stretch. Breathe into the tight areas. And then we can go ahead and exhale and come out of that and then make our way onto our hands and knees. We're going to do a little bit of reach through rotations here to open up our spine and warm up our back for our rows. So we're going to take one hand, we're going to inhale, we're going to reach through in between the opposite arm, opposite leg. And we're going to exhale, open up towards the ceiling, thumb pointing towards behind us. So I'm looking at my palm right now. We're going to do two more. We're going to reach through and exhale, opening up, watching our hand the whole time, getting that rotation through our neck. And one more, reach through and exhale, opening up. And then we can go ahead and bring our hand back up underneath our shoulder. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to inhale, reach through, exhale, opening up. And inhale, reach through. Exhale, opening up. And we're going to do our last one here, reach through. And open up. Then we can go ahead and bring our hand back up underneath our shoulder. And we are ready to rock and roll. So making our way back to standing, we're going to grab our dumbbells. We have our alternating overhead presses. We're going to do 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest / transition time. And I'm going to get my timer going here in 3, 2, 1, and go. So we have both our dumbbells in our hands, but one hand at a time. And then we're coming down nice and slow. So 1, 2, 3. And then the other side, 1, 2, 3. So we're keeping 45-degree angles here in our elbows. So elbows are not straight out to the side. If we have our hands like this, we're going to feel that more in our joint versus if our elbows are in a little bit. We're actually going to be using our shoulder muscles, which is really the goal here. We want to keep our elbows just slightly under the shoulders. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have lateral raises. So our hands are going to stay outside of our legs. They're not coming together. So they're staying out here, driving our elbows up. 3, 2, 1. So palms behind us. I like to have that slight bend in the elbows as well. Drive the elbows up. So if we pretend like we have a plane of glass sitting all the way across our shoulders, we're going to break that glass with our elbows. It also helps too, we want to squeeze our armpits a little bit and reach towards the walls next to us. That's going to really allow us to activate our shoulder muscles. So we should feel that right on the outside of the shoulders here. Keep breathing. If we exhale as we drive our elbows up, it's going to help us really engage our core. 3, 2, 1. All right. Shoulders are already on fire. So we can go ahead, drop one dumbbell here. We're going to do our Romanian deadlift with our row at the bottom. So choosing whichever side we want to start with. 3, 2, 1. So our core is engaged. So zip our core up. We're pushing our hips back. And then as we're at the bottom here, drive the elbow up towards the ceiling. So if we have glass on our back, we're going to break the glass. So I'm going to face this way for a second. So we're push the hips back. So I'm just using my left leg here, but I'm rowing with my right arm, squeezing through my armpit, and then driving my heel through the ground to stand up. If we need to, feel free. You can have your arm out to the side as you row, if that helps with balance, or you can hold it in, or down, whatever feels good. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're gonna do that same thing on the other side. So again, you can either do a straight on single leg RDL, or you can do the kickstand with your toe on the ground. 3, 2, 1. Really important though to keep our core engaged so we're not using our low back to stand up. So we push our hips back, drive the elbow up, and then push the ground away. If you notice, especially like as we can see on this side, as I'm coming up with the row, my hand is following my leg. So I'm not just rowing here. So what happens if we go like this, we're gonna use more of our traps. We really wanna use our back muscles here. So we're squeezing through the armpit, driving our elbow up, following along our femur here, or our thigh bone, whatever you would like to call it, and doing it that way. 3, 2, 1. All right, awesome. Next up, we have our 90-90 heel tap. So we're gonna get on the ground, on our backs, getting into our dead bug position. 3, 2, 1. So our knees above the hips. Our core is zipped up. We're gonna exhale like we're breathing through a straw and pull the leg back in using our core. So if we need to go nice and slow to make sure that we're using our core and not our hips, slow it down. I always say I would much rather us slow it down and feel the movement where we should be versus going nice and fast. I can definitely do this and go really fast, but I'm not feeling anything in my core. So when we slow it down, really use the core, zip it up. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we have single leg lowering. So both our legs are going to be in the air. Same thing. We're going to zip that core up, hold the legs using the core, not our hips. 3, 2, 1. No, it can be really easy to let the hips take over. So that's why we move nice and slow. Hold the leg up. Use your core. Exhale. Really does help. I know for me, I have pretty bad hip tendonitis on my right side. So typically movements like this will bother my hip. But when I really focus on using my core, my hip feels nothing, which is wonderful. Awesome job. 3, 2, 1. All right. Round 1 is done. We got 2 more to go. So we're getting ready, getting our dumbbells. We got alternating overhead presses starting off. 3, 2, 1. So having those dumbbells right above our shoulders, elbows slightly in. Really important as well, keeping our core engaged so that way our back is nice and flat. So if we come overhead here and we're arching to get our arms overhead, that means we definitely need to work a little bit on our overhead mobility. Actually, yesterday in the stability and stretch class, we did some things that really help work on improving that. So if you need some guidance with that, just let me know. And I have some movements to practice. Last thing to watch out for, making sure our ears and our shoulders are not friends. So when we lift up and we shrug the shoulders, 3, 2, 1. We want to make sure we're not shrugging to get the weight up. Same thing with the lateral raises. So what we're doing next with our lateral raises here, making sure we're not shrugging the shoulders up. That's going to activate our traps. 3, 2, 1, which most of us already have overactive traps from sitting at the desk all day. So that's why today we're doing our rows to help offset that and to help with our posture, especially while we're working during the day. Really exhale, drive those elbows up. We focus on the breath. That's going to help us with the movement. Explosive up. but control the weight up, control the weight down. Just like I was saying with the heel taps. I, of course, can do this all day, but what am I doing? Slow it down. 3, 2, 1. We want to make sure we're getting the most out of every movement. All right. Kickstand or single leg Romanian deadlifts with the row at the bottom. 3, 2, 1. So butt to belly button, keep that core engaged, zip that core up, and we're pushing the hips back like we're closing our door. As soon as our hips are done moving, the movement is over and we can row. I see it happen often too that we come down a little bit too far here because we want to feel the stretch in the hamstring. But when my chest is this far down, I'm going to start to use my low back to stand back up. And that's how sometimes we think that Romanian deadlifts or deadlifts in general hurt our back. It's all about how far we're pushing our hips back. So when our hips are done, the movement is over. We row, push the ground away. Great job. 3, 2, 1. All right. We're gonna switch sides. So I'm making sure we're doing the opposite arm and opposite leg here. So I'm using my left arm now and my right foot is going to be my working leg. 3, 2, 1. So same thing, push the hips back until our hips are done. So my hips are done right about here. So that's going to be my end range. Because if you notice, so I'm here, my hips are done. Right now, all this movement is just my back. So keeping an eye out on that. Great job. Like I said, this one's really great to help us work on our posture. We're strengthening all of our back muscles. It's really easy to let our bodies hunch forward during the day. So it's going to help us open things up. 3, 2, 1. All right. Getting on the ground, we got our 2 core movements. And then we got one more round. Getting ready. 3, 2, 1. So this, again, knees above the hips. Exhale, pull the legs back in. So this I feel like is a good movement in addition to the dead bugs. Because sometimes, right, with dead bugs, when we extend out all the way and our low back is coming off the mat or the ground, this one, it kind of shortens that distance for us. So it can kind of help us really use and engage and activate our core to be a little bit better with dead bugs and all other movements. Because as I always say, our pillar, our shoulders, hips, and torso, really important for all movements. So when we have a strong core, 3, 2, 1. Or a strong pillar, I should say. That means that our front of our core and our low back muscles are nice and strong. And then we use our pillar to then pull for other movements. So it does help us make 3, 2, 1. Single leg lowering. But it does make all of our movements inside and outside of the gym a little bit easier, which is always my goal for all of us, is to work hard in here. We work on certain things. I purposely put certain things in here as well for us to be able to work on. Like, for example, the rows today is for sure something that I wanted to put in here so we could work on our posture and strengthening our back as a whole and our core as well. So having a strong core and a strong pillar. 3, 2, 1. All right. 2 rounds down, 1 to go. This is the last one. Starting with our alternating overhead presses. 3, 2, 1. So 1 arm at a time. Even our presses are going to be a little bit easier with a strong pillar. Our RDLs are going to be stronger with strong pillar. Getting something off the top shelf at home, that's going to be a little bit easier with strong pillar. Even sitting at the desk, computer, going for walks, all of that. Everything is all connected, and the better we can move, the better everything is really going to feel. So keeping that core engaged. What muscles are we trying to work here? We're working our shoulders. So we want to feel this the most in our shoulders. Moving nice and slow here. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're done with those for the day. We got lateral raises and then we're done with shoulders. And we'll move on to our rows. All right, 3, 2, 1. So slight bend in the elbows coming out, exhaling. Drive those elbows up. We're doing awesome. These ones can always feel a little hard, but it's good. We're getting mentally stronger. We're getting physically stronger. It's the best of both worlds. Especially when we start to think that it's getting tough. We're like, I don't know if I could do another one. Just keep pushing. We got this. We're done with shoulders after this. We're going to finish strong. We're building those new pathways. I know my shoulders are burning too, but we got this. 3, 2, 1. All right, nice job. Shake those arms out. I know that's really, oh man, I don't know how my shoulders are going to feel later after that. All right, we got our rows next. Working on our posture muscles. 3, 2, 1. So push the hips back, row, push the right away. Keeping our back nice and flat. Working on that pillar strength here at the same time that we're working on our glutes, our hamstrings, and our back. And then we got this side. We're going to do the other side. And then we're going to do our core. And then we're going to do a little bit of figure 4 to cool down. And then that'll be it for today. 3, 2, 1. All right. We got one more side. Hairs everywhere. Right. Prepare mentally. We got this. Final few movements here. 3, 2, 1. Down. I know for this one, I did say we can do a regular single leg Romanian deadlift. I find that when I do them, I start to let my chest come forward too much, and then I use my back, and I don't, obviously we don't want that, but it does not feel so good. So I do prefer to do the kickstand, even though yes, I can do the single leg, it just doesn't feel as good. So it's all about how it feels for you. Everyone is different. You know, you might not feel it the way that I do. Maybe you prefer it. So it's about finding what works for you and your body. 3, 2, 1. All right, done with those. We got our heel taps and then single leg lowering, and then we're going to stay on our backs for our cool down. Like I said, we're going to do some figure 4. So we're getting ready. 3, 2, 1. So knees above our hips. Going down. I love doing movements like this and dead bugs and single leg lowering. They're my favorite core movements because it does, oh, and glute bridge marches, which we did not do this week, but they're a great way just to work on our core and our low back. I've definitely been slacking on my core work, and I feel it certain days with my low back. So low back tension can mean a weak core, weak glutes. 3, 2, 1. So that's why I always like to incorporate core movements at the end so we can really help take some pressure off of our low back, especially because it can get tight from working at the desk. 3, 2, 1. Our core is also important when it comes to posture. So it's not just having a strong upper back, but it also is about having a strong core. So all important things. There's always a reason why I put things into a class. So if you're ever curious and I don't talk about it, just reach out, feel free to ask. There's a method to my madness. I always just want to make sure I'm helping us be able to move and feel good. Like I say, inside and outside of the gym. So more than just about looking good. It's about feeling good, about moving good, all of that. 3, 2, 1, and we are done with today's circuit. My core is on fire. Go ahead, grab a sip of water if you need it. And like I said, we're gonna do figure 4 to finish out. So having one foot on the ground, we're gonna take the opposite ankle, place it over your knee. And if that tension feels good and you press down on your knee, go ahead and stay there. You need a little extra tension, go ahead, interlace your fingers, grab either behind the knee or in front of the shin, and then pull your knee towards your chest. If you are placing your knee or your hands behind your knee, make sure to grab kind of halfway up your hamstring, so not fully below the knee, but kind of in the middle, and then pull towards your knee. That's going to help with getting a nice stretch in there. We should feel this right outside of our hip of our knee that is crossed. We're taking big deep breaths in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth, calming our bodies down. We're going to do one more breath here. And as we finish our exhale, we can gently bring our foot to the ground and then the other foot. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So crossing our opposite ankle over our opposite knee. And again, if that tension feels good, go ahead and stay there. If you need a little extra tension, interlace your fingers, grab either behind your knee or in front of your shin and pull your knee towards your chest. Following our breath down. Go ahead and do one more breath on this side. And as we finish our exhale, we can gently bring our feet back to the ground, and then feel free to stay on the ground if you'd like, or you can return to seated, kneeling, or standing. That's going to be all the time for today's class. For our last class in the gym, so sad day, but